Hello and welcome to Dan Explains. I'm Dan. Wow, this is the last day of 2021. Let's hope 2022 is better. Being the holidays and all, this is just going to be a short video. In light of the holiday, I thought I'd talk about the year. No, not the year 2021 or the year 2022. I'm talking about the year in the Gregorian calendar. Have you ever wondered how the year got the way it is today? Why is January the beginning of the year? Most calendars begin on a solstice or an equinox. So, our year is a bit of an oddball. Let me explain why. The history of how our year got the way it is goes way back to the end of the Roman Republic, which of course preceded the Roman Empire, first created by none other than Julius Caesar, whose leadership was arguably the death knell of the Republic. For most of its existence, the Roman Republic followed a lunar solar calendar, with an intercalary month that would be added every so often when the seasons started to get out of whack. The names of the months in our calendar actually come from the mess that was the prior Roman calendar, so they actually predate the year. The names either correspond to Roman gods, like Mars for March, or Latin numbers like October for 8. Notice that October isn't the 8th month anymore, but it kept the name. The year before the one we have in our calendar today used to start at the beginning of March. They moved the start of the year from March to January to match when the newly elected consuls entered their office. I guess it just made for easier bookkeeping. That's crazy to think. Our year starts on January 1st because someone wanted easier bookkeeping over 2,000 years ago. The names of the months, the start date of the year, and the fact that we insert our intercalary day at the end of February are all vestigial aspects adopted from the old Roman calendar. One of the motivations for changing it to a solar year from a lunar solar year with intercalary months was because the intercalary months were just added by the politicians whenever things got out of alignment. Sometimes they would add them more often than was needed in order to extend their stay in office some more. The year we have today could at best give them an extra day. The year as we know it, or as we nearly know it today, came into existence on January 1st, 45 BC, by an edict of Julius Caesar. This new calendar was called the Julian Calendar. If you're an Orthodox Christian, or come from Ethiopia, the only country that still uses it, you'll be familiar with it. You may notice that this is before the use of AD and BC. I mean, obviously, the Romans didn't realize that Jesus was going to be born in 45 years, so they needed to start at negative 45 and count backwards. No, they just started counting their years from the supposed founding of the city of Rome, which they reckon was around the year 753 BC. So the first year was the year 708 AUC, which is an abbreviation for the Latin phrase meaning since the founding of Rome. I'm not going to pronounce it. I think I learned my lesson in my last video. This year, let's just do next year since this is the last day of this one. So next year is the year 2775 AUC by Roman reckoning. You know how I mentioned they realigned the start of the year to January to match with the change of the council? The funny thing was, January wasn't where it is now. It started in the middle of what's now October. To fix this, Julius Caesar added 2 intercalary months to the year before the start of the new calendar, in order for January 1st to align with the winter solstice. But he wanted to allay the people's superstitions, so he ended up pushing it back a week to coincide with the new moon that year. That's how it ended up in the weird spot it is now. This isn't the whole story, however. There were a few more modifications. The AD and BC dating we have today were adopted after the Christianization of the Roman Empire. There's one further modification. As most of you are aware, we don't use the Julian calendar anymore, because the year was just a tad bit too short. The Julian calendar inserted 1 leap year for every 4 years, for a year that was exactly 365 1/4 days long. The issue was, of course, the actual length of the year is 365 0.2422 days long, so a smidge under a quarter. This smidge built up over time, and by the 1500s, the months were 10 days out of sync with the seasons. I mean, sure, it beat the nuttiness of the old Roman calendar, but still, it needed to be fixed. In the year 1582, Pope Gregory instituted what we know today as the Gregorian calendar. The first thing he did was to skip 10 days in October. So in Rome at least, the sun went down on October 4th and didn't come back up until October 15th, only a little over 12 hours later. The other thing he did was add one more rule. If the year is supposed to be a leap year, but it lands on a year that's divisible by the number 400, it's not a leap year, making the year 365.2425 days long. Not exactly the true length, but darn close. Since this happened in 1582, the Protestant Reformation had already occurred. Now, since this calendar was instituted by a papal bull, the Catholic countries had pretty much all adopted it by 1583. The Protestant countries were much more skeptical of the new popish year, and some took centuries to adopt it. Like I pointed out, Orthodox Ethiopia still hasn't. Even though the calendar and the year we're used to today predate the founding of the United States by almost 200 years, the British Empire didn't adopt it until 1752. So most of the founding fathers were born with the Julian calendar. By that time, they had to add 11 days instead of 10. Has anything changed since the Gregorian reform? Yes. The year does occasionally get changed by tiny amounts, by either adding or removing a second or two, usually at the end of June or December. It's funny, we used to set our clocks by the movement of the Earth and the celestial bodies. Now we set the movement of the celestial bodies and the Earth by our clocks. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please press the like button, subscribe to my channel, and ding the bell to get notified when I post new videos. Also, please support me on Patreon, link in the description. The more people support me, the more time I can dedicate to making videos like this one. So, until next time, have a great week.